Exit theory number 4. I want to talk about the 3 stages of a bull market that we use. The 3 stages are the top 1/3, the middle 1/3, and the bottom 1/3. I'll start at the bottom, okay? The bottom 1/3, we want to buy the 30 coins that has potential in a bear market. So in the bear market, we look at the coins and we want to accumulate about 30 coins, and most of those will be in the Taifu 30 cryptocurrency market index. And then in the middle 1/3 of the bull market, in the gray area, we want to remove and reduce the total number of coins we have from 30 coins down to 20 coins, down to 12 coins, down to 10 coins, down to 8 coins, down to 6 coins, down to 4 coins, down to 2 coins, down to 1 coin. So that's how we want to do it. And then the top 1/3 is the time to sell and take profits. I'm going to go into this in more detail because this looks all pretty because this has already happened in 2018. How do we figure out when it's the bottom 1/3, when it's the middle 1/3, and when it's the top 1/3? That's what everyone wants to know. They don't want to know what happened in the past. They want to know what happens in the future, what actions to take when the time comes. So let's get started. In the bottom 1/3, we're going to buy the 30 coins with potential in a bear market. During this time, 80% of our money and our capital will go into 20 coins from the Taifu indexes. 20% of it will go into 10 coins outside the indexes. For example, if I have a $100,000 US dollar portfolio, this is how I'm going to break it down. 100,000 times 80% is 80,000. 80,000 will go into the top 20 coins in the Taifu indexes. The other 20,000 is the 20% left over, and that's going to be divided into 10 coins outside of the indexes. Please refer to the previous module, number 5, cryptocurrency bet size, where we explain the Taifu crypto investing system and the 80-20 split in more detail. So if you forget, go back to module 5 and look at that and study the Taifu crypto investing system. This would be the loading phase if we are new to crypto investors. So if this is your first time entering the markets, this would be called the loading phase because we are loading up our portfolio with coins. We are buying coins to load up our portfolio. This would be the reloading phase if we have prior experience in crypto. So if you're new, it's a loading phase. But for someone like me and Leon, this is not new to us. This is, we've been through several market cycles already. So during the bear market, this is our reloading phase where we reload the coins into our portfolio. We sold it off. Now we're going to buy it back and put it back into our portfolio. Let's say we sold most of our Cardano tokens, most of our Tezos tokens, most of our Ethereum tokens, most of our Polkadot tokens, right? So now in the bear market, we're going to reload our portfolio and buy all those coins back at a 50, 60, 70, 80% discount. This is where we use money from the ammo bucket or the cash bucket to reload our portfolio. The middle 1/3 is to remove and reduce total number of coins. So we reduce the entire portfolio down to less than 8 to 10 coins in this middle 1/3. We don't want to hold more coins than that. The reason why is because it gets really confusing and it's just not manageable, especially if you have a 7, 8, 9-figure portfolio. If you have more than 8 to 10 coins at this stage, when you know that you're in the middle of a bull market, how far in the middle of the bull market are you? No one knows that. We just know that it's not the peak, the top, and we know we're not near the bottom. We know we're somewhere in the middle. So when we know that we're somewhere in the middle, we want to reduce it down to 8 to 10 coins. Practice selling small transactions to test the following issues. You're going to run into a lot of problems when you start taking profits. So you want to figure out what those problems are going to be before they happen. So you can do that by practicing selling, like 0.001 of total portfolio at least once per week. So this is like 1/10 of 1%. Okay, so if I have a $100,000 portfolio, for example, if I have an $800,000 portfolio and multiply that by 0.001, that equals $800. So I practice selling $800 per week every week during the middle of a bull market. The reason why we do that is so we can figure out what goes wrong. Is the exchange working? Can we convert the crypto into fiat and send it back to our accounts? All that stuff. So this is not really profit taking. This is just practicing and preparing your mind and entire trading system to be ready to sell, to make sure your wallets are working, your hardware wallets are updated, everything, your accounts, logins, everything is working. During this stage, almost every trader runs into problems, even including myself. I forgot that to verify my identity for this account. I forgot to do KYC on it. There's many things. I forgot to update the firmware in my hardware wallet. It's not working, right? So I got to update it. So all these things have to be figured out before you actually start taking big profits. So test for crypto to US dollar to your bank account for exchange and withdrawal issues. Almost every one of our traders and almost every one of our students run into some kind of exchange and withdrawal issues when they're trying to go from crypto to US dollars to their bank account. I can't list all the problems that happen, but please do it with a small amount of money so you can see and make sure that it's working. Test for computer security flaws, wallet updates, missing wallets, lost private keys. I had some Raven coin, and now those Raven coins are worth close to $1 million. When I moved from America to Vietnam to retire, somehow or another, I lost it. It was not a lot of money when I first put money into it, so I put it onto a hard drive because at that time there was no hardware wallet support for it. I put it onto a hard drive. I brought the hard drive with me. I put it in the laptop, so that it's in the big device, and I never turned the computer on. And by the time I came back to Vietnam, I opened it up, I looked for it, it's missing, it's gone. I don't know where it's at. I looked through all my hard drives that I have, I looked through all my laptops that I have, and I can't find the coins. There you go. I lost $1 million. I purposely put a computer aside just to store that coin, and now I can't find it. So I don't know where it's at. Start selling the worst performing altcoin since the bottom of the bear market first. So for example, in the 2021 bull market, I started selling my Dogecoin position first. I started selling Litecoin. I started selling Zcash. I started selling Bitcoin SV. I started selling Bitcoin Cash because in the middle of the bull market, those coins were not setting new highs. They had not retraced the crash from 2017, and they were showing very poor performance. So I got rid of those coins first. Don't be attached to any of those coins. You can always buy them back later in the future in the next bear market. Near the peak, everyone will panic, rush, and forget stuff, make mistakes. So test everything, guys. I can't say this enough. Make sure you test everything. Start filling up the Taifu 3-bucket system in this sequence. First, fill up the long-term HODL bucket so you do not have to rush to fill it up later. That bucket is going to have 20% and it's going to be Bitcoins. And you start filling it up, you don't have to worry about it later. That's one bucket you don't have to worry about later. Second, start filling up the ammo bucket. You know it's going to be 20%, so you don't have to rush and fill it up later when you are near the peak of the bull market. The third is fill up the spending bucket last. Since this is the last bucket, it will be easier and less stressful because any extra money you have, it just goes straight into the spending bucket. You already have the 20% in the ammo bucket, 20% in the long-term HODL bucket. You're pretty much done. In the top 1/3 of the bull market, it's time to sell and take profits. We're going to reduce our entire portfolio down to 4 to 6 coins. If you have a very big portfolio, I would just keep around 4 coins. Like right now, in the 2021 bull market, I'm holding only like 4 or 5 coins, that's it. I'm trying to sell everything and try to get down to like 2 or 3 coins. The less coins that we have, the longer that you can ride out the bull trend. Remember that, guys. You might think that, hey, if I sell these coins, I'm going to miss out on this bull market. Trust me, you're not going to miss out because you are holding the most liquid coins out there with the biggest market cap, with the most liquidity, and you're going to ride out the trend the longest on it. So near the market peak, you will not be able to sell fast due to exchange and network congestion. The network and the blockchain network will be congested in 2014. The exchanges were congested due to heavy traffic. It happened again in 2017, and then it happened again in the 2021 bull market. It happened again in May. So even though we've had years to update the software and the exchanges and everything, the reality is that more and more users are coming onto the exchanges and causes more problems and more congestion. You want to have the least amount of coins in the most liquid coins possible when you are near the peak. The majority of the HODL bucket should be nearly full of Bitcoins when you are near the peak. The majority of the ammo bucket should be nearly full of fiat, either US dollars or USDT, stable coins, or some type of stable coin when you are in the top 1/3. You're getting ready to sell and take big profits. Now is the time to fill up the spending bucket with big chunks of profits. In the US, profits can be converted to US dollars directly because every transaction is a taxable event. So you do not need to convert to a stable coin and hold it there and then convert it to US dollars later. When you convert it, you sell and you convert to USDT or USD, it is a taxable event. So you might as well just convert it to USD because it's safer and you don't have to worry about getting hacked with USDT or any of the other stable coins. Outside the USA, profits can be converted to a stable coin first before you convert it to a local fiat currency. So you can use stable coins such as USDT, USDC, and BUSD. All those coins are fairly common and should be on every exchange. And over-the-counter or OTC trade can be used to take profits for large orders. You can use that through any of the exchanges that we have listed on our website that we have used. You can find that at cryptocurrency.market/FAQ. And I think it's in one of the first FAQs at the top. It lists all the exchanges that we use. Taking profits during a pump is better because you get a better fill and a better price. This is called selling into strength on Wall Street. So when we sell, we want buyers. We want people to FOMO in and buy when we need to sell. So when we sell, we don't try to sell at the top, because at the top, there's not a lot of liquidity. There's lots of issues. And we don't want to sell when the price starts going down. We want to sell on the way up, because as people are buying the price up, that's who we want to sell to, so that we can unload the coins that we have. And when we sell, we want buyers. We don't want sellers competing for our orders. So we always do that. We buy when everyone is selling, and we sell when everyone is buying. That's how we get our orders filled cleanly. Don't forget to put money aside for taxes if needed. If you live in an area where they tax crypto, make sure that you account for that. Here's some notes I want to share with you guys about the 3 stages of a bull market. Near the bull market peak, everyone will make common mistakes, including sending coins to the wrong address because we haven't whitelisted the addresses yet. Send fiat to the wrong bank account because we haven't tested it yet. Send the wrong coin. For example, I lost $1 million sending Z Classic to a Zcash address. Can't ever recover that. I sent coins to the wrong exchange. For example, we send coins to exchange A instead of exchange B, and we waste several hours waiting for confirmation or see no confirmation. You lose your coins. For example, I lost $500,000 in Raven coins during a relocation back to Vietnam. Those $500,000 in Raven coins, now it's worth over $1 million as I'm making this video. Unable to send coins because the wallet software is not updated. That's happened to me many times. You send the incorrect quantity of coins. You send 10 coins instead of 100 coins. Everyone makes these common mistakes because they panic and they rush. So the sooner that you can figure these out beforehand, before you take the big profits, the less mistakes that you will make. Do all your buying and selling on a laptop or desktop computer and not on a cell phone. You should not be trying to take profits on $100,000 or $1 million on a cell phone. You should do that on a laptop or a desktop. Practice selling small chunks so you can sell big chunks near the market peak. Right? If you don't practice selling small chunks, you're not going to just out of nowhere be able to sell $1 million. So during a bull market, I will practice selling $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 almost every week or almost every other week. There's not a month that goes by that I don't sell something, because I need practice so that my mind is ready. I'm getting older, and my mind needs to be ready to sell when it's time to sell. So that's why I encourage you guys to practice selling small chunks. If you guys notice throughout our entire training, we keep stressing practice, practice, practice. So when the time comes, we are ready. Why don't we practice selling $100 test transactions instead of big amounts? The reason is because trading includes emotions. So we have to sell an amount that affects our emotions. You cannot practice selling $100 when you have a $10 million portfolio, because the emotional impact is not the same. If you have a $10 million portfolio, selling $100 means nothing. Like somebody asks you for $100, it's not a big deal to help a friend or a family member for $100, because it's not a big enough transaction to trigger any emotions in you. So you need to sell a big enough amount. And what constitutes a big enough amount? I'll share with you guys the charts in a minute on how to figure out how much to sell at a time. If you're older, consider dividing the practice sell transactions into multiple smaller transactions to get more practice and repetitions. So when I need to sell $50,000 a week to practice selling so I can be ready to take big profits, what I'll do is, instead of selling $50,000 in one chunk or one transaction, what I will do is I will sell chunks of $5,000, $5,000 chunks, $5,000 chunks. So now I get 10 repetitions to practice instead of just one repetition, right? The more repetitions I practice, the more I can do it correctly. Practicing small sell transactions is not the same as taking profits. When you're practicing small sell transactions, you can consider it as taking profits, small profits, but what you're really doing, the goal of it, is your mind gets ready to sell. There are no insurance or bailouts in crypto, so practice small transactions so you're ready to do bigger transactions. If you make a mistake like I did and send $1 million to the wrong address, you cannot recover that. There's no insurance. There's nobody's going to come and bail you out and give you your $1 million back. That's gone. So make sure that you test with small transactions first before you send a big transaction. If you have not moved coins since the last bull market, you need to practice. You cannot be sitting there and never move coins for 6 months or a year and then come back and all of a sudden remember exactly how to do it correctly. You got to practice. During the middle of a bull market, we do not buy altcoins. We buy Bitcoins only. Stop asking us and stop asking people and stop doing research to buy new coins during the middle of a bull market. The reason why we don't do that is because if we buy the altcoins during the middle of a bull market, we are not giving ourselves the lowest risk possible and the highest potential for rewards possible. Why? Because we are not buying near the bottom of the market. We're buying in the middle of a bull market. If we buy it and the market decides to crash 90% next week, we are going to be in a lot of pain because we just bought the altcoins and now it crashes 80, 90%. We don't want to go through that pain. We want to buy it after the market crashes 70, 80, 90%. That's when we come in and we buy it, so that if we do buy it, at least we have the comfort that the market has already crashed 70, 80, 90% before we got in. We don't want to be the idiot that buys it and then next week it crashes 80%. The reason why we buy Bitcoins only during the middle of a bull market, if we need to buy coins, is because Bitcoin is the only coin that has shown over 6 market cycles and 6 bear markets that it can crash 50% up to 94% and still come back and set new highs. And that's the reason why in the middle of a bull market, if I really need to buy a coin, I only buy Bitcoin. Be aware of your bank transfer limits. For example, in Thailand, the online bank transfer limit is 250,000 baht, which is about 8,000 US dollars per transaction. So if you sell to take profits in Thailand and put it in your Thai bank account, just be aware that if you need to sell $80,000 profit, it's going to take 10 transactions to complete that. If you need to sell $800,000 worth of coins into Thai baht, just do the math. 800,000 divided by 8,000, that's about 100 transactions before you complete the transfer from crypto into Thai baht into your bank account. The same thing is in Vietnam. The Vietnamese online bank transfer limits are 5 billion. It could be higher later on, but right at the moment, the highest that I have seen is 5 billion. So that's about 215,000 US dollars per day. So if you want to do online transfers, that's what you have to do. Now you can transfer more, but you have to go into the bank to do it. And you have to, fill out the documents and everything to transfer more money. So just be aware of the limits of your bank. Be sure to get verified for higher deposit withdrawal limits at each exchange. So for example, some exchanges only give you a 2 Bitcoin limit, a withdrawal. Some only give you a 20 Bitcoin. Some only give you a 50 Bitcoin limit withdrawal. Some give you 100. Okay, I think 100 is the highest I've seen for the withdrawal limits per day. Be sure to get verified so you have higher deposit and withdrawal limits. We produced about roughly 30 millionaires in 2017. By 2018, there was only about 10 left. And it's because they did not have their personal financial goals ready to take profits. So even though they made $1 million or more in their portfolio, they actually didn't take profits on it because they didn't know how much to take. They did not practice the selling small transactions that we taught, and we kept telling them to practice. They wouldn't do it. So when the time comes to take profits, you guys can see the window of opportunity to take profits is very small. And because they didn't practice, they didn't know how to do it correctly. So when the time came to sell a big transaction, they could not do it. So they missed the opportunity. So I highly stress that you practice with small transactions so you understand how it's done so you don't do it wrong when it's time to do it. I say that we produced about 30 millionaires in 2017, guys. I have no bank account audits. I'm going by what my students tell me. Most of the students that tell me that they became millionaires, they call us to thank us and tell us how much they started with and how much it grew to. It's not out of nowhere that they call us and thank us. They've been following us for several months already or several years, and they have been telling us their progress along the way for several months, several years already. So it's not like overnight they register for our cryptocurrency investing blueprint and the next week they tell us, thanks that they became a millionaire. I'm not going to believe that. So the ones that I say that the 30 millionaires that we produced in 2017, I should say that those are the 30 people that called and thanked us for helping them become millionaires. Okay. So I didn't see their actual accounts. They just called me and thanked me for it. Okay. A few of them I did see, a few of them I even had to help them, show them how to move their coins and show it. So I know that they are real millionaires. But I just want you guys to know that the 30 millionaires that we produced in 2017, it's not audited or anything like that. So I'm just going by the word of my students. Do not be stupid and start listening to uneducated people about taking profits, guys. We have a student in Vietnam. Their friends told him, hey, Bitcoin's at $9,999. It's a lucky number. Go ahead and take profits. Why? Because $9,999 is a lucky number in Vietnam. So that was the reason to take profits. There's no fundamental reason. It was just all feng shui and superstition. And that's how they took profits. When it's time to take profits, guys, stop listening to uneducated people that do not have the same or similar or bigger portfolio than you do. So if you have a $100,000 portfolio, you should not be listening to someone that has a $50,000 portfolio. You should listen to someone that has $100,000 or more portfolio. Do not be stupid and listen to those idiots and lose your money. Practice taking profits in a primary fiat, such as the US dollar, and a secondary fiat such as the euro in case the primary fiat is not available. So this happened to me one time. I relied on taking profits in US dollars only because that's all I needed. I never had to use the euro. And then one day I went to take profits and it didn't work. And I was stuck there. I couldn't figure it out. I was frustrated and couldn't get my money out of the exchange. And all I had to do was just sell it into, convert to euro and then withdraw it. I've never had any interactions with the euro. I've traded millions of dollars worth of the euro in the Forex market, but I've actually never seen a euro currency bill. And I've never actually had to transfer euros between any accounts. I had to learn how to do that, right, and learn how to understand how to use the SEPA transfer system that transfers the euro. So make sure that you learn how to do the exchanges and the transfers in at least 2 major fiat currencies in case one doesn't work out. You can do it even with 3. Selling small chunks reduces the emotional stress of selling a big quantity, guys. Most humans do not have experience with large financial transactions, so it's very difficult for them to take profits near the bull market peak. For example, if you only make $100,000 a year and you have never made a bigger purchase than a $300,000 house, then in your mind, you've only had practice with a $300,000 transaction once in your life. And now you have to take profits on $1 million. That is going to be a shock to your mental mindset. You might think that, oh, I'm mentally strong. It doesn't matter, Ty. I can do it. But the reality is you're not going to be able to do it that easily. So don't try to force yourself. Just do the small sell transactions and practice like we say. And then when that time comes, you'll be able to do it. The people who do not practice selling small transactions tend to panic sell everything if there's a small crash during the middle of a bull market. For example, in 2021 bull market, we had a student who did not practice, and then when it's time to sell, they just panic sold everything, like all the coins they have. So he sold $4 million of his entire portfolio when the market started to crash in May of 2021. And he thought we were going into a bear market. So just panic sold. He sold everything. And so he didn't realize that he owed half of that to the government for taxes. By rushing and panic selling, he thought he'd just sell, and then if the market crashes 40-50%, he can just buy $4 million worth of crypto back in, and now he's back in the markets, right? And he didn't realize that when he sold the $4 million, he owes $2 million to the tax department now. And now he only has $2 million left. He didn't account for that. He didn't plan for that. So now if the market crashes 30-40% and he wants to get back in, he only has $2 million to get back in. So I want you to do the math. If I sell $4 million and I have to give 50% to the government for taxes, and then I only have $2 million left, and the market only crashes 30%, and I try to buy back in, am I going to have the same number of coins? The answer is no. The math doesn't work. If you guys want to pause the video and do the math and see for yourself, it's not going to work. We have I think over 7 or 8 billion people on the planet. Almost everybody has experience selling a $1 transaction. But when you go to a $100 transaction, the amount of people on the planet that have experience or know how to handle a $100 transaction, it just went from 8 billion people down to maybe 2 billion people. And if you raise that number from $100 to $1,000, that 2 billion people might be down to 1 billion people, or might even be down to 500 million people. If you increase the amount of money from $1,000 to $10,000, that might drop that billion people down to 500 million. And then if you increase it to 100,000, it might reduce it down to a few hundred million, and that's it. A few dozen million, and that's it. Why? Because most people do not have experience transacting with large amounts of money, especially hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars. So you have to practice, or else your mind is not going to be ready to take profits when you need to sell several $1 million. This is the sequence of how we take profits. We go from selling nothing to practice small sell transactions for small profits, and then we start selling big transactions for big profits. We're sitting there, we're doing nothing, we're selling nothing, and all of a sudden we go into a bull market and we say, okay, it's official, we're officially in a bull market now, so let's start practicing small sell transactions and just take out small, tiny profits each week. Just very tiny, negligible. It's not even worth talking about. But it gives our mind the repetitions that it needs to start selling, because we haven't been selling during the whole bear market. We've only been buying. So now we got to change gears. So now, after we sell the small transactions, the market starts to go up some more. Then we start selling big transactions and taking big profits. Our simple formula for taking big profits is this. When we take profits, it equals our personal financial goals plus the market signals us to take profits. So we don't take profits unless we have our personal financial goals, and we don't do anything until the market signals us and lets us know to take profits. So let's take a closer look at the personal financial goals portion.